What another week in women's basketball. From Caitlin hitting the scoring record for the NCAA, Paige Bueckers announcing her return to UConn next season, Brittney Griner being celebrated and given her flowers at Baylor, the WNBA making a major announcement about expansion, overseas updates, and a whole lot more. We got a lot to talk about this week. So, without further ado, let's get into it. What is up, awesome people of the internet, and welcome to another edition of Women's Basketball Weekly, your number one video source for women's basketball news and information. And for this week, we begin with some college updates and look at some of the previous games from last week. We're not going to talk about all the games, but here are some of the games that I thought were pretty noteworthy. So we have NC State that narrowly beat Georgia Tech 86-85. The game went into overtime and was a straight up thriller, y'all, with NC State's Isaiah James doing her thing. But it really was Georgia Tech's Kara Dunn who gave NC State a run for their money, scoring 31 points in this game and hitting the 3-point shot to get the game into overtime. But after all of that heroics, it just wasn't enough to pull up the upset. Now, Georgia Tech, while they lost this game, this is one of those games that was sort of like a moral victory of sorts, because I definitely didn't peg this game to be as close as it was. And for Georgia Tech to have gotten so close to beating NC State is a huge accomplishment for the team, even though they lost the game. Georgia Tech is now 15-12 on the season, and NC State is now 23-3 on the season and are in third place in the ACC. UCLA lost to Oregon State in what I would consider a surprise loss with a final score of 79-77. And the score was thanks to Talia von Oelhoffen, who had a clutch game today, hitting a 3-point shot at the end of the game at the buzzer to get the Beavers the win. And the game itself was pretty back and forth throughout, with both teams' leaders spearheading the charge. Lauren Betts for UCLA and Talia von Oelhoffen for Oregon State. But it really came down to who could grit it out and who could make the smart play when the game was on the line. And Oregon State did that, and they ended up with the W. With that win, at the time, it put Oregon State on a 6 straight win in the Pac-12. However, that winning streak ended this past weekend on Sunday when Oregon State lost to USC 58-50. I think this is just another example of how it is just wildness in the Pac-12. You had UCLA lose to Oregon State, which UCLA is, for the most part, a better team than Oregon State. And then you had Oregon State lose a couple days later to USC. And if you really think about it, I would say USC is a weaker team than Oregon State. And so it's just any team can win. Any team can win at any time. But y'all, Oregon State, while they did lose against USC, that was a huge victory that they had against UCLA. UCLA is one of those teams that, is very, very talented, but cracks are starting to show. And that Oregon State game really did show some cracks. Yes, UCLA redeemed themselves over the weekend, and they got a dub against Oregon. But this definitely wasn't the weekend that UCLA coach Corey Close wanted. Because they got one win and one loss, especially when you're trying to still fight for positioning in the NCAA tournament. This loss absolutely hurts UCLA's standing, and this kind of buries their chances, in my opinion, of getting a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. I just don't think it's going to happen with that loss against Oregon State. Now, last week, I was able to catch an Ivy League battle between Columbia and Harvard, where Columbia edged out a win with a final score of 71-63. And it really was a good game with balanced scoring on both sides, though I have a huge shout out to give. Shout out to Columbia's guard, junior, Cecilia Collins, who finished the game with 20 points and 8 assists and officially joined the 1,000 points scored club. 1,000 points! Huge shout out, because that's pretty awesome. Like, scoring 1,000 points in women's college basketball, Division I women's college basketball, regardless of the conference that you play in, is pretty impressive. I know a lot of times we kind of sleep on some of these mid-major schools. I also do myself, so I call myself out on this. But if you're ever looking for a good time, if you're ever looking for a good game to watch, I highly recommend either turning on ESPN Plus and finding a mid-major game to watch. Maybe a team that you don't even know any of the players, but you're going to be in for a good game. You're going to be in for a good game. And that's what that Columbia versus Harvard game really was. Yes, Columbia was the better team and they did edge out with the win, but Harvard's no slouch either. They gave Columbia a run for their money. And it was kind of cool to see the fan support as well at Harvard, because these ladies are smart, but they can ball too.
I mean, it was huge credit to Harvard. They played, really well. I thought they had a nice game plan coming in, tried to make everything difficult, especially for our guard play. And I was really proud to see the adjustments that we were able to make, especially coming out of halftime. And then some players, stepping up majorly. Susie was huge. Cece being clutch at the free throw line. Nicole Stevens knocking down some big shots, getting to the rim. I just thought that we played mature when we needed to, and if we can clean up some other stuff along the way, that's really going to help us in the future. But this is a great momentum riding off of 2-game weekend, 2 wins, and heading into next weekend we play for first place. So happy with the effort we had tonight. A lot we can learn against a really good Harvard team.
When it comes to the Ivy League battle, at the top, of course, is Princeton, who is the number 1 Ivy League team in the country. And then right below Princeton is Columbia. So shout out to Columbia for getting the win. And also, guys, check out a mid-major school because they're pretty fun to watch. All right, so that is a look at some of the games from this past week. Yes, I know I didn't cover them all, but, those were some of the ones that I specifically wanted to call out. Now, you all probably know this already, but Caitlin Clark is officially now the number 1 scorer in NCAA women's basketball history. Caitlin broke the all-time scoring record this past Thursday when she passed former record holder Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum scored 3,527 career points over 139 games when she played for Washington from 2013 to 2017. Caitlin Clark eclipsed the all-time mark against Michigan on Thursday in her 126th game. She came into the game only needing 8 points, and she finished the game with a career-high 49 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and an Iowa win against Michigan, 106-89. Now, of course, in Caitlin Clark fashion, she had to hit the record-breaking shot with her signature shot, a very, very deep, you can call it logo 3. So with the women's record done, next up, Caitlin will be eclipsing Pete Maravich's record, which is 3,667 points. That he was able to tally when he played at LSU from 1967 to 1970. 2 things to note about Pete Maravich's record is that back in those days, there was no 3-point line, and there was no shot clock, and also freshmen could not play varsity. So he only played 3 seasons at LSU. And the fact that he was able to achieve those points is wild, considering no 3-point line back in the day. So like Pete Maravich Pistol Pete was serious. But Caitlin Clark is on her way to eclipse that record pretty soon this year. Caitlin also has the opportunity to set another record this season as well. Caitlin is currently averaging 32.1 points per game this season, and she could overtake the D1 women's scoring average record for a season this year as well. That is held by Mississippi Valley State's Patricia Hoskins, who averaged 33.6 points per game in 1990 1989. So Caitlin can hit that too. Again, as I said, she's averaging 32.1 points a game. And so she's not very far from averaging 33.6 points a game. So we'll see if she's able to get her average up there, to be able to hit that accomplishment as well. Caitlin is just hitting records left and right. And so she'll probably have some more notable scoring records that she will accomplish by the end of the season. But also don't forget, y'all, yes, she's a scorer, but also she's a great passer as well, and has some records on that front as well. So yeah, we may see some more history made from Caitlin Clark this year. So pretty exciting for us to be able to continue to watch history in the making. And it's possible that we will see Caitlin return to Iowa next season. So she might get even more records once next season is over. But we'll see whether or not she declares or not. But I did want to show you all a really, really awesome video that Iowa made about Caitlin Clark. Before the game happened on Thursday, Coach Lisa Bluter asked the team, say something nice about Caitlin that has nothing to do with basketball. Something that you enjoy, something that's funny, that's not related to basketball. And I thought the video that came out of that was like pretty phenomenal. Like it gave tribute to like who Caitlin Clark is as a person, but also it gives tribute to her awesome play as well. I just thought it was well done because yes, Caitlin and all the players, they're more than just basketball players. They are human beings, and I thought it was kind of cool to sort of like show some of the humanity that exists in women's college basketball. So without further ado, let me share that video with you now.
At the end of our shoot around, I had our women go around a circle and every one of them say something they liked about Caitlin that wasn't basketball related. Everybody knows Caitlin is the basketball player. There's so much more to Caitlin than that. That was really fun to hear her teammates just express what she means to them as a person.
As we talked about in practice before yesterday, it is a historic day. And everybody thinks of Caitlin for her points. Everybody thinks about Caitlin for her assists. But there's much more to Caitlin, as we know, than that. There's much more than Caitlin than just being a basketball player. And so I'd like us all to just take a chance to think about something that you like, admire, think is funny, whatever. Something about Caitlin that does not have to do with basketball.
One of my favorite things about you is that you are not embarrassed to be yourself, and you have such a vibrant personality that you let it shine through.
It's a pass to Clark. Logo three. Got it! Fitting a logo three.
Like, I love how fiery you are. I feel like you care a lot, and I like that.
I think you're very passionate, and I think you're that in all aspects of your life, and more importantly, in your friendships.
You've had my back through a lot, off the court stuff, family stuff, whatever it is, and I really appreciate that.
I would say you're very confident, but like you are like the loveliest person ever.
You know how to lighten up a room. You're very passionate, and you would do the dishes.
My freshman year in the dorms, you, on February 10th at your show, my mom passing, you left a little like gift in my dorm door, and I will like always remember that.
So you can see, Caitlin, all these guys, they love you for what basketball player you are, but probably even more so for the type of human being you are away from the basketball court when you don't have a ball in your hands. We love you no matter what. And we're excited to share this honor with you and be a part of it. You know, we're going to all be a part of history because of you. So thank you for taking us on this ride, and we're going to have fun tonight, right?
Yes, we are.
Let's go.
I think my 6-year-old self would be proud of where I am.
Never stop dreaming, because you can achieve way more than you ever thought, and you know, I get to live that every single day. So, and I still keep dreaming, and I'm 22 years old, so never stop. Thank you.
It's special because, again, you know, it's Iowa, I mean, this is a great place for girls and women in sports, and it seems fitting that it should be here.
Now, if you didn't hear the news, on UConn senior night, Paige Bueckers announced that she is returning to UConn for one more year, opting out of the 2024 WNBA draft.
Obviously, this 4 years didn't go how I planned or how I wanted to go, but I'm ready for the world. I want to be able to get through what I got through without everybody here. Just supporting. So thank you to the best fans in the country. Unfortunately, this will not be my last year.
Paige Bueckers is listed on UConn's website as a redshirt junior. However, she has dealt with so many injuries over her time at UConn that she's only played in 69 games so far. 69 games for a player that, if she wasn't injured, would be a senior right now. To put that in perspective, her teammate Aaliyah Edwards, who joined the same year as Paige, is listed as a senior and has played in 122 total games. And LSU's junior Anissa Morrow has played in 91 games. Again, Paige Bueckers has played in 69 games. It just sort of puts it in perspective a little bit about how much Paige Bueckers' college career has been spent dealing with injuries. So she hasn't played a ton of games at her time at UConn. But when that girl's on the court, she does her thing. We all remember her magical Player of the Year season as a freshman, where she came in and sort of put her name on the map to let people know that she has arrived and UConn basketball was going to be the place to watch for the time being. We all remember all of the notoriety she got that freshman year. And of course, it was very, very well deserved. Then injuries started happening. Started missing some games. She got hurt again, missed an entire season. And fast forward, here we are. Paige Bueckers should be a senior. And instead of having at least one championship on her belt, which was projected when she was coming in as a freshman, she has none. And back she comes for another year of UConn women's basketball to play with her teammates and to see what is possible for a healthy Paige Bueckers and a healthy AZ Fudd to team up against each other in a dynamic duo sort of sense. A duo that had so much hype entering AZ's freshman year. And unfortunately, due to injury, they haven't been able to live up to that hype. On senior night as well, senior Aubrey Griffin also announced that she is returning to Storrs next season. No word yet on if Nika Mule or Aaliyah Edwards will follow their lead and return to UConn, or if they will hang up their UConn jerseys at the end of the season. Now, whoever actually returns next season for UConn, I am praying for a healthy season, because lately they have just had a huge injury bug sweep through this team, and I'm hoping for a healthy one. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what next season has to offer for UConn, especially because they are still in the running to get Sarah Strong to go to their school. More on Sarah Strong in a future video. Now, with Paige off the board for the WNBA draft, we are waiting to see what other prospects do. The next question is, will Caitlin decide to return to Iowa next year, or will she turn pro and pair up with Aaliyah Boston in Indiana? Will Angel Reese stay at LSU, or will she try her hand at being a pro? Another question, what will Haley Van Lith do? For the first time in forever, we are only months away from the draft, and we still don't really have any idea who really is in the draft and who is out. Well, time will tell about that. Do you have any predictions about who will opt into the draft and who will not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Forever enshrined in the rafters, Brittney Griner has returned to her alma mater to see her number 42 jersey officially retired. Now, if you weren't a women's basketball fan back in the day, let me just catch you up on how great Brittney Griner was at Baylor. She was a two-time AP National Player of the Year. She is still the career blocks leader. She led the Baylor Bears to a 40-0 championship season in 2012. And 4 seasons at Baylor, Brittney played in 148 games, averaging 22.2 points a game, 8.8 rebounds, and an astonishing 5.1 block shots per game. She also dunked several times. Brittney Griner was drafted to the WNBA as the number 1 pick in the 2013 draft to the Mercury. And the rest is pretty much history from there. She never went back to Baylor, and she never attended a basketball game ever since. In 2019, she did complete her degree at Baylor, but there was never any interaction after she left with Baylor women's basketball. Now, if you're wondering, since Brittney meant so much to Baylor, why hasn't she ever gone back to watch a game? And why has it taken so long for her jersey retirement? Well, you can probably look at Kim Mulkey for that. Kim Mulkey was Baylor's head coach during Brittney's tenure, and on the court, they seem to have a phenomenal relationship between coach and player, scheming up plays and making stuff happen. But off the court, Brittney felt like she was never fully allowed to be her real self. And after going to the WNBA, that was it. There was no long-term relationship between player and coach. Kim didn't really talk about Brittney, and Brittney moved on from Baylor. That is until Nikki Collins became the coach of Baylor, and she announced her intention to honor Brittney Griner and honor her college career by retiring her jersey, which happened this past Sunday.
It was a long time coming, but wanted to give BG her flowers.
Brittney was the 7th women's basketball jersey retired by Baylor. Other jersey retirements included Odyssey Sims and Melissa Jones, who actually played with Brittney in college, Nina Davis, Susie Snyder, Sheila Lampert, and Sophia Young. Now, I do want to say a huge congratulations to Brittney Griner for getting her jersey retired. Brittney Griner was a one-of-a-kind college player who just dominated. And to this day, no one even holds a candle to her career blocks. And she wasn't just a defensive-minded player. As I said earlier, this girl could score in college. And she's actually number 5 all-time for points in the NCAA with 3,283 points. That number also gives her the Big 12 record for points scored total. Now, if you're wondering, Brittney Griner's new coaching staff at the Phoenix Mercury was in attendance for this game with some custom BG shirts on. Brittney's former Phoenix Mercury coach Sandy Brandello was there as well to lend her support. And Kim Mulkey was asked about the jersey retirement, and she said,
"Hey Kim, just wanted to Baylor's retiring Brittney Griner's jersey this weekend. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that."
It's awesome. It's awesome. I bet it'll be a great environment.
So there you have it. If you all want to see more of Brittney Griner at her jersey retirement, I highly recommend you all go to Baylor's social media pages, and you can see that. Also, they're working on a documentary about Brittney Griner's career at Baylor, and I believe that should be released at the end of the month. Once that's released, I will put it on my communities tab so you all can check that out. It is going to be on Baylor Plus.
That I know there were a lot of years that I was not around, but I never forgot any of y'all. Never once did I forget anybody that was here, supported me, helped me, gave me advice, showed up to the games. This was really a home. This was my home, and I love the fact that I am here right now, and I love the fact that y'all are here right now with me at this moment. I wish I could just go back in time and be able to be back here again. But I will promise you this: you will see me more, and I will be on campus more, and I will be at games more, and I will be here. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the WNBA, where it is official that we will only have 13 teams in 2025. The league announced several months ago that the Bay Area team, spearheaded by Joe Lacob, will get a WNBA team in 2025. The new team will have the full force of the Golden State Warriors behind them and will be able to take advantage of the resources, including playing home games at the Chase Center in San Francisco. And they will use Golden State's Oakland facility, which served as the Warriors' practice facility and front office from 1997 to 2019. That facility will be the headquarters for this WNBA team, which will give them, of course, a world-class practice facility and an opportunity to have everything sort of housed in one spot. Now, while the Bay Area got a team for the WNBA, they were not the only ones in the running. The WNBA had conversations with Toronto, Denver, Portland, and others, and there was hope that there would be a second expansion team announced for 2025. But sadly, those talks have fallen through for now, and at the NBA All-Star Weekend, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announced that there will be 13 in 2025. And then hopefully 26, 27 to get a few more. Our goal hasn't been made a secret. Our goal is to get to 16. So 3 more in that time frame, 26, 27, I'd say. She spoke a little bit more about Portland losing their bid for a team. The reasoning at the time was that the Moda Center renovation, that sort of the plans for that renovation sort of thrown a wrench into them getting a team for the WNBA, though it was reported by the Oregonian that the renovation was actually planned well ahead of time and that the WNBA actually knew about those plans. Now, Kathy said about Portland, there's definitely more to it. There's always more to it. It's never one thing. I think it will be a great city for a W team. It's still on the list. But you have to find the right long-term committed ownership groups with the right arena situation. And I think the city and state and some of the government officials are still fired up about bringing a W team there. And now it's about finding the right ownership group. So yeah, that's the news. Only 13 teams for 2025 instead of an even 14 teams. With hopes of adding more teams as the years go on and ultimately landing up at 16 WNBA teams. So we have coming up this year, the 2024 WNBA draft. And then next season, we will see a 2025 expansion draft, as well as the regular 2025 draft next year as well. As for the specifics on the 2025 expansion draft, we don't know. That has not been released just yet. But when it is released, I will make sure to let you all know about it and explain it all to you. So, what do you all think about the fact that the WNBA will only have 13 teams for 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Other WNBA news includes Jonquel Jones re-signing with the New York Liberty, which is a huge deal for this team as they are able to maintain their core from last season. But unlike other teams, like the Seattle Storm and the Phoenix Mercury, New York hasn't been able to get significantly better in the free agency period. They've just been trying to maintain what they had last season. The WNBA was in full display this past weekend during this year's NBA All-Star Weekend, which was in Indianapolis. You had the Steph versus Sabrina Ionescu challenge, where Sabrina lost to Steph. However, she put on a great show and she represented very well for the WNBA. We also had the Celebrity Game, where Asia Wilson was alongside Stephen A. Smith and Lil Wayne as a coach, and we had Natasha Cloud and Jewel Lloyd actually playing in the game. As far as the activations go, it seemed that the WNBA did a great job of having a live space. They had some players there for fan meet and greets. They also had a setup where kids could sort of experience what it's like to get selected in the draft. And Kathy took pictures with people with the 2024 jersey. It was pretty cool. It was very, very cool, especially since the All-Star game was in Indianapolis and the Indiana Fever have the number 1 pick in the 2024 draft. So it was pretty special on all fronts. So shout out to the WNBA for doing it right for NBA All-Star Weekend. Now let's get into the history books. And we are keeping with the theme of the NBA All-Star Weekend. And I got a question for y'all. Do y'all remember the Shooting Stars competition? It was the All-Star competition where a current NBA player, a former NBA player, and a current WNBA player would pair up to compete and see which is the best shooting city, or in some cases, the best shooting state. Now, for those of you all who never watched it, let me kind of explain it to you a little bit. Now, the goal was to hit 4 shots in the least amount of time as possible. The shots included a 10-foot bank shot, a jump shot at the top of the key, a NBA 3-point shot, and a half-court shot. The competition lasted from 2004 to 2015, with the first winners of that competition being the LA team with Magic Johnson of the LA Lakers, Derek Fisher, also of the LA Lakers, and Lisa Leslie of the LA Sparks. If you don't know, at the time, Magic Johnson was a legend. Derek Fisher was still playing, and Lisa Leslie was still playing as well. As time went on, we had a whole slew of WNBA players who participated in this competition, from Diana Taurasi to Swin Cash, who won the competition 4 times, to Becky Hammon, who won the competition 2 times, Katie Smith, and others. I remember watching and looking forward to the Shooting Stars competition every single year because it was a chance for me to really see some of my favorite WNBA players showcased on the biggest of stages right next to the NBA players. In 2016, the NBA scrapped the Shooting Stars competition. Since then, the WNBA has continued to have a presence at the NBA All-Star Weekend by participating in the Celebrity Games and also having activation space at the host city. But what I really wish is that one day we will see the return of the Shooting Stars competition. If not for the NBA All-Star Weekend, but for the WNBA All-Star Weekend. It was a very, very entertaining competition, and it was a great time to just see the NBA and the WNBA just come together, celebrating some of the older stars of the game, of the NBA game, and then celebrating the new generation of ballers. I personally would love a chance to see a sort of evolved Shooting Stars competition where you have not only a NBA legend, but you have a WNBA legend as well. And then you have 2 current players, 1 NBA player and 1 WNBA player. Like, that would be phenomenal to have four different players compete on a team together, and just see who's the better shooter. Who's the better shooter? Is it LA? Is it Texas? They sort of put Texas all together as a shooting state, not necessarily a shooting city. Is it Chicago? Like, is it New York? Like, I would absolutely love the opportunity to see this thing come back, whether it's for the NBA All-Star Weekend or the WNBA All-Star Weekend. So for the powers that be, please make this happen. Now, a question for you guys. Did you all watch the Shooting Stars competition back in the day? Would you like to see a return? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, now for your overseas update. We got some hardware that's being handed out overseas. Now, before I get into it, apologies in advance. I will butcher these team names. I am very sorry. I just have a hard time pronouncing some of these names. All right, so first up we have Familia Wilbur Ciccio, who won the Italian Cup trophy. They beat Umana Rayer Venzia for the trophy. And Robin Parks, who plays for Ciccio, also plays for the Chicago Sky. She stepped up with 25 points to win the game for Ciccio. She also was named MVP as well. And then we also have Panathinaikos, who won the 2023-2024 Cup title in Greece. They beat Kalithis with a final score of 87-62. And for those teams, we have Jasmine Jones, who was the top scorer with 27 points. And we have Jillian Alini, who had 22 points and 13 rebounds for the winning squad. Now for your China update, Aerial Powers, Azare Stevens, and Queen Egbo have made their Chinese league debuts this past weekend, as well as Liz Cambage, who plays for Sichuan and who made her debut in a tough first game against Inner Mongolia and Jonquil Jones. JJ dominated the game with 24 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. And Liz wasn't too shabby either, with 13 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Liz's team, Sichuan, won 82-77. All right, guys, that is this week's edition of Women's Basketball Weekly. I do thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. We are on our road to 10,000 subscribers, y'all. And the goal is to hit that before March Madness begins. So if you have not subscribed to this channel and you watch my videos, and if you are very entertained by what's happening in women's basketball and you want to know what's going on every single week, well, subscribe to the channel and I will keep you all up to date. And if you know someone who loves women's basketball who doesn't know about this channel, please send them the video. That would be phenomenal as well. There's a lot of people who love women's basketball that may not be on YouTube and may not know that a show like this exists. So if you could please do me a favor and share that with someone, that would be phenomenal as well. I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, guys. Bye-bye.